attackers can't keep calm in any situation. So we need to protect our privacy and follow up enhanced security measures. And so Ayush, can you help me in sharing my screen? I just want to share my screen.
Sure, ma'am.
Yeah, what happened, Ayush? Are you able to share the screen?
Yes, sir. Just a second.
So is that fine, Ayush?
Yes, ma'am. I have received it. I am just sharing my screen now. I hope my screen is visible to everyone.
Yes, yes. Okay, fine. So I hope everyone is visible the screen. Okay. Yeah, fine. So basically, I hope everyone aware of this attack, excess cross-site scripting, which is basically a very uh, incentives process like OSN, online security network, which is in online secure social network as well. So how attackers target the OSN. So this is the thing. Ayush, can you go to the next slide? Yes. So these are the things which we are going to go through today, which is cross-site scripting, definition, risk. So what are the risks present in cross-site scripting? Like how attackers target the OSN, online social network. How do attackers use XSS? So how they use the techniques for the cross-site scripting attacks. Then what are the types of XSS? How we will be doing the testing methodology, and what kind of tools which will be very helpful for protecting the sites. And here I am using my own deductive mechanism with two-layer security enhancement, which I have done. And altogether, what we can do for the betterment of the security enhancement, then defenses, how we can follow up the defenses with the security measures and the references which I have mentioned here. The next slide. So, okay, the definition is the cross-site scripting. So basically, a cross-site scripting is a type of computer security, which can be also known as exploiting the users, where information from one context, which is untrustworthy context, probably, and can be inserted into another context. And this is basically how it happens. The trusted websites is used to store, transport, or deliver malicious content to the victim. And the target is to trick the client browser. So basically, they target it into the client browser to execute the malicious script by use of any kind of commands. And what are the script? How the script travels, like using JavaScript, VB script, ActiveX, HTML, or Flash. So these are the types of scripts which attackers follows up, and caused by insufficient input validation. So that's why the validations of the input is very essential for targeting all those things. So we need to be very secure before doing everything. The next slide. So cross-site scripting risk. So here I have mentioned what kind of risk we can have on this kind of attack, like steal cookies. So basically what they will do, what attackers will do is stealing the cookies, hijack of user session. So hijacking the user sessions, unauthorized access. So they will be giving unauthorized access to the privacy, like credential, ID, password. They will be doing that unauthorized access to the user's credentials, modifying the content of the web page. So if they steal the information, then they can easily modify the content of the web page, and also inserting words. So probably they in how if they are modifying the content, they can also insert all kind of words what they want to be manipulated, and misinformation. They can pass the misinformation and bad reputation to the society. So spy on what you do. So they will always spy on what you do, on all your transactions, everything they can spy out. Then network mapping, accesses viruses. So they can inject all kind of risk into your user credentials. So it is very necessary to secure those things. So here there are three types of known XSS types. Reflected, which is also called as non-persistent. So basically in reflected scripting, link in other website or email malicious scripts. So how they linked to the website. For example, we will be getting a HTTP request link to the website to fill the details, and we will be clicking to those links. So that is an attack of reflected, non-persistent. Stored persistence, where the malicious script comes from the website database. So directly it comes from the website. Like I have given example, forum, bulletin board, feedback form, so that if you click that, it will be prompt into the malicious script task. So local DOM based. So DOM based attack is where the vulnerability exists in the client side. So the vulnerability comes from the client side force rather than the server side. So like for example, PDF, Adobe Reader, Flash Player, what we are going through with all those things. Then this is the thing, how the reflected non-persistence has follows up. So this is an image like attackers, how attackers sending a mail with script. Mostly the attackers follow JavaScript code and embedded in the link. So how it is embedded, and a victim, so the user. So if they doesn't know what is kind of link it is, so they are prompting towards those link and clicking the link. Then they are user following up with this kind. Then the follow link to the script executes. Basically, in this kind of thing, they can steal the user credentials so that they can get all the details. And malicious content not get stored in the server. So they have given the server bounces the original input to the victim without modification. So it can be happen in the reflected kind of attack. Then stored persistence. So basically here, how attacker upload malicious scripting command to the public forum. So once it is fetched in the public forum, the malicious script, so what happened, the public forum website, which we are going through all the day. I mean, whatever we want to take, then we will be searching in the browser, right? So in that kind, what happened, the message goes to the victim, and victim will be following up with this kind. So basically, we will be coming in the trap of the attacker. So the server stores the malicious content. The server serves the malicious content in its original form. So it can be happen in this kind of thing. The next. So look at the DOM based and the attacker, how the attacker is sending an email with a link. So the link has been sent to the email to the user so that the victim can see the link and send the request for the HTTP. I mean, which kind of thing, like what script, kind of script they are following up. Then automatically the victim will be serving all those things which the attacker needs of. Then it can be injected in the process. So the injected script does not traverse to the server, arising fast as the major threat as the other two types of. So I believe this kind of things usually we will be going through with DOM based. Like normally we will be getting lots of spam mails every day. So in that we need to be very cautious which link we are going through and which link we are containing what kind of script we are following up with it. So we need to be very cautious. Next. Cross-site scripting testing. So this is the testing mechanism. So here I have given some how to do this testing process, where to start. So how we will be starting through the process, search box, feedback, guest book. So this is the few hints which I have given for testing process. So the procedure we need to be following up in this, and mostly the application forms. We are getting lots of applications form. We don't know which is full of secure and flexibility, but we don't know how we need to be prompting up. Then look for input that can be displayed by the script. How the attackers following up with this process, and once we will be clicking those link and we will be prompting to the attacker side. So don't forget to test with different encoding schemes. So there are different encoding schemes we have nowadays. So we need to follow up all those things. So this is very interesting. Yeah, next. So here, this is the mechanism which I used to create. I have given this kind of thing in my paper for excessive detective, how this detection helps through. So if you have seen this architecture in this, how I have given the security measures from server to user. So this can be used in two-way mechanism, like, how server is giving the responses to the users. In between, we will be getting lots of issues like injecting the script, and also malicious. So here what I have given a mechanism, which is, so I have given one mechanism here. Okay, fine. So, okay. So excess exhauster. I have given a name called XSS exhauster, which is probably a scanning mechanism. Here, the mechanism works for the vulnerability. It segregates the malicious and non-malicious script. So once getting the response from the user, the server has to segregate the data script with two kind of mechanism, malicious and non-malicious. So what happened here? While getting the data, the process from the server has to validate the data. So what kind of validation technique we have to follow up here, and uh, and the validation as well as encoding and sanitization. So encoding, in a sense, we are going through which kind of user or which kind of process they are taking up to the response. So if you see this exhauster mechanism, please go to the next slide. Next. Okay, so here the mechanism, the database will count the vulnerability of the system. It goes in the exhauster engine. So the engine will be analyzing the vulnerability of the malicious or non-malicious. If it is malicious code, then it goes to the next mechanism, which is called XSS uh, refiner. And if it is not a non-malicious, if it is a non-malicious, it will be safe to travel to the user. So it will give a report of malicious and non-malicious, so that it will be helpful for the user to click any kind of links or any kind of tricking sites, so that it will be follow some measurement. So like, I have given some kind of features in this, like maintaining an updated database. So how the database should be updated accordingly, and also ability to detect vulnerabilities with less false positives. So detecting the vulnerability with less rare problems has been faced by the previous task. Like here, we can also use the predictive analytics process. So how the process has been take place previously and how it can be going through the several years following up with that. So ability to scan multiple targets simultaneously. So they are targeting what? They are scanning through the process how many users are coming and going on daily basis, and which is the which users cannot be accessed with the hacking method. So ability to provide a detailed report. So once we will be getting a clean sheet of the user credentials, then it can be go to the response pair. So vulnerable request, and so if it is not a non-malicious script, then we can go for the next level for the security enhancement. Next. Okay. So this, who can make use of this mechanism? This is very, very important question. Like, who will be making use of this XSS exhauster technique? The security auditors. So most of the auditors, while doing the security assessment, they need this type of mechanism to scan the data of every individual while doing auditing, and malicious attackers or hackers with the intention to harm the asset or gain unauthorized access. So they can also exist. So application development team before deploying the application. So in the production environment. So this is the this persons can be make use of this mechanism, and also recommendation to fix the vulnerability. While we are getting some recommendation to fix the vulnerability, before that I will be checking through like what kind of problem we can face in future, so that I can make use of this mechanism and make better security enhancement. Next. So okay, so next is, can I go to the previous slide? The 2-1. I want to see the architecture. Architecture, yes. So here what happened, once we will be doing all the scanning mechanism of the data script, which is malicious or non-malicious, the malicious response will be going to the next level of security, which is XSS refiner, and the non-malicious response, which is secure to be go to the user. So here also we have some kind of issues. We will be facing this, but we will be doing this part later on. But what happened, while we are seeing some malicious response from the site, we will be going to the next level of security, that is XSS refiner, so that we can go in a wide range of security process. So can I go to the yes. So what is the process of XSS refiner? So refiner, in a sense, filtering the data, filtering the script, and making it to the next level that can be exist. So XSS refiner of malicious script has been carried out to prevent cross-site scripting attacks on the input data which are sent to the application. So we need to validate the data. How to basically we one more step is there, preventing the data, preventing the excesses attacks, so that the main process comes in preventing the excesses attack is to validate the data and encoding the data. So this is the process which we are going to follow up while going to the refiner process. So XSS refiner is also performed on the output sent by the application to web browser. So the output which is prompting towards the application by the web browser, and therefore in most cases both input and output have been analyzed. So sometimes what happens, while sending and receiving the data will be very important task, while we don't know which kind of end users So anytime the attack can be happen. So sending and receiving the data are very important. For example, I have given one example. When an attacker tries to use an untrusted information to mislead the application. So anyone can be in a trap of this, like untrusted information to mislead the application or to corrupt the script. So this can be happen in cross-site scripting and that are used in a web application. This system identifies. So this refiner will be identifying the script and filter the script. So it will be filtering and going through the next level of the security. So this is how the mechanism work. So like server reverse proxy. Reverse proxy, we are using this kind of thing like, when we are getting two link, like from user to server. And this reverse proxy will be identifying the authenticate user and authenticate server. When the authentication will be comes from both the way, then the refiner will be giving the authorization so that this person or this user are be validated and it will goes to the next process. Like here, white filtering table, because this white, the main purpose of using this white list filtering table, it will transparent the way of seeing the vulnerability, seeing the malicious script. And HTTP parser, it will be reconnecting or segregating into text node and script node. Then we can identify which node is can be flexibly can travel to the next level. And so this reverse proxy and HTTP parser is very important for filtering and encoding the data, encoding the script into the next process. Next. So security anonymity by intercepting request. So what happened? Anyways, we need to get the request form, and while filling those details, then it will be headed to the backend server. So here the work of reverse proxy, how it will be interchanging that reverse proxy server protects their identities. Identities, like we will be giving some data, validating data, so that it will identify the particular user and act as an additional defense against security attacks. So we can minutely check which user are getting into the site or which listing process. Then it also ensures that multiple servers can be accessed from a single record, locator or URL regardless. So we have given this kind of thing like, n number of servers can be accessed, n number of users as well as can be accessed so that it can be helped for the local area network. The HTML input filter has been implemented by using a HTML parser. So here, what kind of input we are going to filter it out, like filtering the process. Though if it is validated, it has to go through the validation as well as the verification process. So once has been done, then they will be getting into the thing like how they can be interact with the kind of sites. And the whitelist filter table has been provided in this process. So as I told you, whitelist table is a very transparent kind of table so that it will be, we are going to get into it while any kind of user or something like that, we will be analyzed and test it so that it can be get into the sites. So this all is very necessary for the most web applications are simple with respect to the input expectation. So every time we need to validate and encode those kind of data inputs so that it will be very helpful for us to improvise the security enhancement. So I think many of you have gone through with this kind of tools, which is helpful in securing and protecting the scripts. So NStalker and Acumtex, Paros, Firefox, these are the tools which have been used for all kind of attacks and protecting those kind of things. Next. So cross-site scripting altogether. So this is some kind of scripting mechanism which we have been used before. So how this kind of scripting has been gone through the sites to enhance the user data, credentials data, so that it will be helpful for you all to understand the concept. So what kind of tools, what kind of mechanism we have been applied here. So here accesses me, which urge in the data. So how we will be putting the validation input so that it will be encoded and sanitized properly so that the data has been secure and it can be traveled in a secure way. And we also have some kind of how do hackers use XSS? So how they are actually, this is very important question. So how do hackers use XSS? So what kind of techniques they have followed for doing all this XSS attack? Mainly an attacker inject a malicious script. Mainly and how they will be injecting the script into users provided input. So this is very important question. And attackers inject a malicious script into users provided input. So how this happens? And next is attackers can also carry out on an attack by modifying the request. So how they can modify the request? So these are the two techniques the attackers are playing with. So if we are doing this kind of sanitizing and security validation, so it can be we will be uh, coming across, and also uh, the outcome will be the best for the every users who have been coming across those things, and we can also come across this kind of attacks, mostly stored accesses, which is where the malicious script comes from the website database of vulnerability. And how attackers targets the OSN. Um, so basically, how attackers will be doing this task, like targeting the OSN by the users. Mostly attackers will be targeting the users credentials like ID, password, and other kind of thing, so that they steal the information, and then they can track all the activities which are going into the user's point of view. And some of the things has asked, like, how some kind of tools, some tools to sanitize input and output data. So there are many tools which can be helpful in sanitizing or refining process of your input as well as the output data. Validating the input, how we are going to validating the input, and encoding the output. That is very important. Encoding the output, and use content security policy. Using the content security policy, enhanced security policy is very important. And testing and scanning your mobile application. So anyhow, we are using many applications in the mobile phone, so that every time we need to scan and test what kind of applications we are going through. And I think we have in Android there is a lots of chances to be get exploited, but I think iPhone is quite protective in that case. And so mobile applications, uh, most of the things has happened. Mobile applications vulnerable to excesses. So this is very important, because last week we have attended one workshop. In that they have questioned how mobile applications is vulnerable to excesses attack. So in this case, what basically happens? So we did some small research on this. So attackers can inject. So anyhow, attackers have attacks can anyway in any kind of way. But here, what happens is attackers can inject malicious script into mobile application which you are using it. This can compromise your users' data and your personal credentials. So this can also be happen in attack cross-site scripting attack, where mobile applications can be vulnerable to the XSS attack. So cross-site scripting defense. So there are two defenses which we have been evaluated with client side and server side. In client side, it disable JS, verify email, always update. So disable JS, in a sense, we will be applying some form, in that we will be giving that disability process. So it will be helpful while we are going into that, then we will be enable it. Otherwise, it is not so mandatory to do that enabling task. So it will be good if it is disabled. And verifying emails. So verifying email is very important task because every day we are getting number of emails there, and we need to verify which email is prompting not error free, and always we need to be keep an eye on it and always update. Updating is very essential, as if we update it and then it will not be any issues while going through any process of security. And server side, now we are going to see the server side validating input validation. As I told you, input validation is very important, blacklisting and whitelisting. So we need to segregate the blacklisting and whitelisting to give the proper input validation method and encode all meta characters sent to the client. So encoding and sanitizing as well, which is very essential while doing all this task while sending to the client. And keep track of user sessions. So every time we need to give a session close completion report. Like if we are not doing it, then it will be not exactly the process. The problem will be not be phasing out. And always web application firewall. So this is one kind of defensive technique most of the sites are using through. And always test. So always test is proper that we can go through with the server side as well as client side. So these are some references which I want to share with you all so that it will be helpful if you want to get more information on the security attack, attacking information, how sites are being attacked. Last 2 years back, I think Uber. I think everyone knows about Uber. So it also been hacked with one kind of security, but after that it has been measured it out properly. They have enhanced the security, and the attack is it is basically a stored attack, which they can get all the information of the driver and enact as the driver. It can be misuse of the driver identity as well, how they are interacting with the customers. So this has happened, and how the attack information. So this is the links which I have given you in this, so that I want, if you have any queries, you can please go through all those things. It will be very helpful for you to understand the concept of this cross-site scripting. And I want to know any questions you have from your side.
I can see hand raised. Yes, you can ask your question, please.
So I have got one question from my student. Is Instagram safe from attackers? Okay. So what do you think? Is Instagram safe from attackers? I don't think it is safe. But what we can do is, often we have to change the password or anything like changing your password or on Instagram and other sites helps to keep your account secure, and it it prevents from being hacked. So any questions do you have?
There is one more question, ma'am. Is the defensive mechanism use the separate
Can I
hardware or it uses software?
wait, I'll see the question. Okay. Is the defensive mechanism use separate hardware or it use software? Yes, the name I cannot see. Vasu. Okay. So yes, actually it's a software. Basically, it's a software tool I can say, which helps the site to prevent from the vulnerability which comes from the outside force. What if we are able to see that the website is vulnerable to access? How can it lead to other critical attacks, information gathering? Yes. So how you're going to see that? That is very important. So while measuring out the attack, attacks can be followed up with different kind of technique. Okay. So whether it can be in the server side, or it can be in a client side, but we need to measure it out and we need to give the security enhancing what kind of security exact thing we can need it off at that particular moment. So, and if the defensive, what are the keys difference between, okay, ma'am tends to use client side, small web. See, often tend to use client-side JS in small web application. I don't think it is a bad practice, but while learning, you can be adapt to the some other technique, or else to just try to being in the force, like trying out with your own mechanism. If you're doing so, that you will be getting to understand what kind of process and mechanism we will be feeding into the websites, so that it will you will be understanding better. How much time does it take to it will not take much time to perform completely. But the thing is, we need to be very cautious of the attacks. So, see, probably we'll be getting to know what kind of attack we are come across with. And before itself, like as it is, prevention is better than cure, right? So we need to understand what kind of attack we can be going through and what we can following up, like as we do predictive analytics. So before itself, what happened to the last year, next year, we will be analyzing this year itself. Okay, according to the record, according to the database. So likewise, uh, if you are going to do some security enhancement, so we will be understanding it in a better way so that we can come across all these attacks. So we can do prevention, and we can also understand the concept of attackers. Why does an empty method works like a sink in JavaScript? Okay. Okay. How many there are? Why does an empty method? Okay. No, it is not at all safe. So HTTP safe it is not safe. But as I told you, we have lots of tools in the market so that it will, and also prompting to the site. For example, what happen is while we are going to some site, automatically we mostly downloading. If you want to download some songs, for example, we are going to the site, like any kind of like pagal.com, something like that. Those sites are filled with vulnerability. Undoubtedly, it is filled with vulnerability. If you're going to that site, it definitely prompt to the attacker side. That is for sure. Why does it method work so? And I just want to mention you this, like most attackers follows javascript code to feed it the track malicious. So that is why mostly it has been used often. Any other question?
Ah, I think all the questions have been asked.
Yeah, sure. Probably, I think this is very less time. Probably I'll be doing a live demo. Yeah, we will be working on it. How to prevent process scripting. So as I have mentioned before, preventing is a very important task. While preventing those kind of technique, we will be following up with some kind of validating technique, as well as how we are going to inject those techniques into the website. So validating, verification, and two-way authorization. Like if you're sending something to the user, or you're getting something from the user, or giving something like end users. So both end users is into the trap, so that validating the process and verifications done by both the user and encoding the data is very, very important. See, attackers can use any kind of, we don't know what kind of technique they are using, what kind of script following through to attack the particular browser, particular site. But it is, as per the research, 60% attackers use script, JavaScript. So it is not by my side. It is normally 60% of attackers, because of the flexibility. Most of the websites are used JavaScript code. Maybe for that reason they are using, they are injecting the code, injecting the script, malicious script to the JavaScript code. Ayush, are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here.
Okay, Ayush. So I'll be sharing this PPT with you. Probably have shared already.
Yes, ma'am.
So anything in future, I'll be contacting you for this. Okay. Why it
Yeah.
is challenging to detect the traditions? I think there are lots of questions coming to my way. Can you
Yes, ma'am. I
explain?
can only see the questions being asked in directly on the all section.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, okay. So basically, it is a challenging task. Obviously, it is a challenging task to the security enhancer to protect the security. Okay. But the thing is, see, I just want to mention, some few students came to me and asked, ma'am, my Instagram is hacked. So what I can do for that, for the security? I said, see, what we basically personal data. So like I am uploading my pictures, okay, to the world. We need to be very careful in that way as well, in that sense. So what is there to share? So okay, so we need to have a limit. So that is the main security from that comes from your side, okay. And also, while doing like transactions, there are, if you're doing transactions, bank transactions, everything, then we need a security, like how to click, how to do it all in a secure way. So we are using some kind of tools which can be practiced. I think it has to be practiced, because uh, we cannot challenge those attackers. We don't have time to do so. So basically, we security comes from our side. Firstly, we need to be secure with our data as well as all the credentials. Again, I will be mentioning that it is depends upon the hackers. It is depends upon the technique, what they want to feed it, what they want to get into it. So we can't do it with that thing, like any kind of hackers, any language they can be used to malicious to proceed with the script. But the thing is, at the end of the day, we need to validate those things, prevent from the XSS attack, and validating the data, verified the data and encode and sanitize the data. It's in our hand. So we need to be very cautious. If they are developing their own programming language, why you can be do better than, because you're securing your site. So recently Chinese had a okay, fine. So that is the thing. If you are going in a one way higher than you, then you provide the best outcome, best mechanism to protect your own site. Okay, so that it will be helpful for the world to enhance those techniques. Yes, Ayush.
I think, ma'am, there are no more relevant question to the cross-site scripting attacks on social media. So,
Okay. So it's a very, I am very glad to be here as a part of this webinar, and I'm looking forward to do more webinar with your team probably in coming days. So thank you so much for calling me out for this webinar. I'm so happy and uh, very, it is a very insightful one for me, and also I've seen lots of students from different backgrounds are being here. So I'm happy and very excited. And also I'll be looking forward to attend more webinars from your side. Thank you,
sure,
Ayush.
ma'am.
Please thank sir also, Prashant sir, for giving me this opportunity.
Sure, ma'am. I will also like to thank you for giving us your precious time while to make our interns being knowledgeable on cross-site scripting attacks on social media, on what is cross-site scripting, the types of cross-site scripting, reflected, permanent, how to protect oneself from the cross-site scripting, and their various domains and languages that can be affected, like web pages, website, and etc. To it was nice to have you on the session.
Same here.
So
Thank you so much.
yes, I would like to thank you too. And I would like to thank you all the participants who are actually watching this session live and interacting with the ma'am and contributing in excelling themselves, oneself and everyone else by asking questions, interacting with each and everyone else. So I would like to thank you, the interns too, because it is not easy. It is an easy task to actually be present in the session and keep watching this one screen for 1 hour straight while understanding all the various concepts you are being introduced to, whether it be new or you are already knowledgeable about them. Thank you, everyone. So we will be closing the session now. You are allowed to leave now. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Ayush. Thank you so much.